Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to Barbell Junction.
Thank you for having me. This is actually my very first podcast ever.
You don't have any podcast in Hong Kong?
Not that I know of, actually. We have one fitness YouTube channel, but I don't think we have any podcasts.
On fitness?
Not on fitness. Not that I know of.
Oh, really? Oh, you should start something.
Start one.
Yeah.
Maybe after this.
Right. But first of all, welcome to Malaysia.
Thank you.
How have you found Malaysia so far?
I really like KL, actually. It's been about 15 or 16 years since I've been to KL. So it's changed a lot.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Right, and you were here before on vacation?
I was competing in a cross-country meet.
In Malaysia?
Yeah.
Wow, so
it's
far.
very hot. Yeah.
And is it sensitive to us? Like, how old are you?
I'm 29. I'm about to be 30.
Oh my God. Wow, you were here like when you were 14?
Yeah, 14 or 15.
Oh my God. Is that when you started getting into like training and exercising, or?
I've been into exercising my whole life, like running around outside. I'm not very good at sitting still.
Okay, you were just an active kid.
Yeah.
And then when did you actually get into powerlifting and weightlifting? Which came first?
General strength training came first, like basic kind of bodybuilding style, basic gym stuff at the YMCA. I started really young, actually, when I was 12. So yeah, a lot younger than most. I basically followed my older brother into the gym.
Okay.
Yeah, and
but what, apart from your brother, what drew you to strength training? I mean, it's unusual for a female to be attracted to the sport, right?
It's definitely not as common as males. I think because I played sports growing up, and I've also been very small. So I don't know if you can tell on camera, but I'm
next to me. I think people can see.
I'm 4'11", so not very tall, and I'm 47 kg. I weigh from 45 to 48 kg. So I'm quite small, and wanting to be very competitive. And I grew up in the States, so I always was the smallest one on the field, the smallest one in competitions, like the smallest one.
Right.
So after a while, I kind of realized, like, if I want to be competitive, I need to be strong to keep up with everyone also, not get pushed around. I played lacrosse for a long time, and that's a pretty physical sport, so definitely needed more strength for that.
So you were born in HK?
I was born in the States.
You were born in the States?
Yeah.
So you're an American, not a what do you call it?
I'm both.
You're both?
Yeah.
I see. And what made you decide to come home?
So I was born and raised in the States, grew up there. My parents are both from Hong Kong, so I had the background kind of, but I didn't grow up there, so my Cantonese was not local level. It still isn't. I wish it was. Wanting to experience it, so I studied abroad at Hong Kong University for 1 year.
Okay.
And that was my first time experiencing Hong Kong, really living there. Tried to learn more Cantonese, kind of experienced the culture that I kind of knew about, but I hadn't really lived out.
I see.
And then I went back to the States, finished up my degree, and then I didn't have a job lined up, so I thought, like, why not? Let me just go to Hong Kong and experience it as a working adult and get some working experience. And then I thought I would go back to the States, but it's been 7 years and I'm still in Hong Kong.
And would you call Hong Kong your home now, or it's still the States?
I call both of them my home.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah.
You have two homes.
Yeah.
What you graduated in?
Exercise science.
Okay. So when you came to Hong Kong, what sort of job did you get?
My first job was in biomechanics research. I didn't know if I was going to do coaching specifically or not, even though I graduated with exercise science. I liked it for sure. Like, I liked the topic. Exercise physiology is probably my favorite topic. Biomechanics It was good. It was a little bit too much math for me, a lot of calculating.
Really?
Yeah, it was in a lab. So
Oh, okay.
a lot of like software calculating, which wasn't my thing. And like I said before, I don't like sitting still. So after a while, I kind of figured out that the lab wasn't it for me. And I started doing personal training on the side as well. So what I was doing on the side, I enjoyed more than what I was doing full time. And so that's when I made the switch.
Right. Kind of like what I did with Zealfit here. You know, it was a side hustle for a while until I discovered that, I really hated my job. And I started out my own. Yeah. And so you started coaching after you graduated, right?
I actually started coaching really early on. My first coaching job, I was only 15.
Okay.
That was in swimming.
Okay.
So I was assistant swim coach, and because I was so young, I wasn't even be able to be paid properly. I was paid in the form of college scholarship money. So it was a paid job, but kind of had to go around my age. But that was my first official coaching job.
Like, how do you qualify as a 15-year-old as a coach?
I'm not sure really. I'm surprised now that I think about it. I'm kind of surprised that they trusted me.
Right.
I was the assistant, so there was another main
head coach
there that was older. But yeah, they just kind of said they needed people, and they let me do it.
Right. So I assume that's under supervision from the head coach, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But what you drew to coaching though? I mean, you at 15 years old, most kids would probably not know what they want to do, right?
Yeah,
but coaching
like,
seems to be like.
At the time, I just treated it like extracurricular after-school activity.
But wouldn't you rather be swimming instead of coaching?
I did both. Yeah, it was so long ago. I'm not even sure what I was thinking anymore. I just saw like the ad or something pop up and just decided to try it. Yeah.
And back to the question, when did you start doing? So after you said you started out as the normal gym stuff, weightlifting stuff, right? Bodybuilding, is that what you said? I can't remember.
Like bodybuilding style. I never did any bodybuilding competition, but like kind of the standard like bicep curl, tricep extension, lat pull down machine, leg press. And
I assume that's also self-taught, or did you learn from someone?
Mostly self-taught. My brother kind of taught me, but he was just like a high schooler going to the gym starting out, so he wasn't like a trained professional or anything. And the gym I went to, they had a required course. To be that young and using the gym, they make you do a course first.
Okay. Is this like a policy in the U.S. High school or?
It was at the YMCA, so that's all across America for YMCA specifically. I don't know if all gyms would do that, but it's not uncommon.
Like, okay, since you grew up there, right? I'm interested to know about how the Americans develop their athletes, right? So, what sort of programs are available in high school? Like, how do they develop talents from young, which I assume they do, right? Because they have a sporting culture, right?
Yeah, I think the culture is a big part of it. Everyone is really into sports. Like, it's very common to play sports a lot after school and be in all these activities, and that's kind of where you make friends also. I mean, there's other things like music and art is there as well, but especially in my hometown, we had a lot of sports emphasis, so for me it was just natural. I would say my hometown is more athletic than average, even for America. So I just got lucky that it was a really big thing in my hometown. So I had that course when I was in middle school when I was 12.
Okay.
And then I also had a high school class. So
what class is that?
Like a weight training class.
Okay. What do you call it just now?
In high school.
No, you call it. Did you say weight training just now, or was it some other word?
Weight training.
Weight training. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So we got to choose like 1 or 2 elective classes or something. So I chose that as one of mine.
So you're saying at 12 or 13 years old in middle school, they actually give you an option to do weight training?
That was at the YMCA. That wasn't at school. So I went to the gym. They had like a smaller section for just middle schoolers. It was like maybe 4 or 5 machines.
Wow. Miniaturized machines or adult size machines?
I'm not sure. Because at the time, like for me, it's just the standard size in my eyes. But because I'm so small, now that I think about it, they were probably smaller machines. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have fit on them. But yeah, they had this little mini section, but then you still have to take the course to use that little mini section.
Sort of like an on-ramp course for beginners to use the machines.
Yeah, and then maybe at like 15 years old or something, then you can use the adult session.
The adult section.
Yeah.
Okay. So in your school in particular, they did not have any gym?
My high school did. My middle school did not.
Oh, so not all schools have gyms. And when I refer to gym, because here a gym means machines, treadmills, dumbbells, barbells. Like I think in America, gym is like you have a court, basketball court, or places, things like that, right? Yeah,
like a weight room.
Or you call it weight room?
Weight room, yeah. Yeah, so my high school did. I went to a public school, so this isn't like a fancy private school, but it was a well-funded public school. I think this was so long ago. It's like hard for me to remember exactly, but we definitely had squat racks, bench press racks.
Wow.
Because we had like an exam of like squat max testing, bench press max testing. Yeah.
By the school or by
the class?
Oh.
Yeah, that was part of the class.
So what sort of? I'm interested to know this because we don't have this in Malaysia.
Yeah, we don't have this in Hong Kong either.
Yeah, so it's one of my goals, right, to encourage strength training in kids and youth. I mean, in fact, the podcast before this, we spoke to Dr. Arvin, which is a strength and conditioning coach, and we were talking about this, on how we want to introduce the benefits of strength training in kids and youth, right? So I'm trying to understand as much as I can from your own experience. Hopefully I can jog your memory a little bit on how it was done, or how it is done in the States.
Yeah, for me, like I was just a kid, and I just knew that I liked it, so I did it. I didn't really think about all this stuff at the time. But yeah, now I'm realizing like it was really lucky that I had that chance, and my school had a gym and a class. I would say like the level of coaching of that class was probably not that high, because I was still just lifting with like kind of beginner technique. I don't remember too much detail of the teacher giving me that much instruction. It was kind of just like, this is a barbell, this is a bicep curl, this is a squat, but not really details of like bracing or like hitting depth or anything like that. So I'd say like the coaching level was still not that high, but at least like the class did exist, the weight room did exist. And in the YMCA gym, as well as the high school weight room, there weren't any coaches to actually look at your form or teaching you the proper mechanics or technique to lift. Is that correct for me to say? In the YMCA, no. It was just.
But the high school, you do?
Inside the class, and I could only use that gym when I was in class. I couldn't use it on my own.
Okay. And you mentioned that there are several tests that you have to take. I assume this is just like any normal class. Can you fail in gym class?
In gym class, yes.
You can.
Yeah, just like PE class.
Okay.
I didn't fail. I don't remember exactly what the standard was. I think there was written exam, but kind of more asking things like, what muscle does this exercise train? That kind of question. But it's not
can you answer like your butt, your legs, or do you have to specifically answer like your quadriceps, your gluteus maximus, your biceps?
I think it was quadriceps, and maybe not the specific scientific name, but something like quadricep, tricep, bicep.
Oh, and they teach you this in high school?
Yeah, as a elective. So I specifically chose to do this class. Not
that's
everybody does.
Yeah,
it.
of course. Not everybody is into weight training or sports, right? But that's very interesting. I mean, apart from okay, getting back to the exams that you had to take. It's not an exam. It's a, what do you call it? It's a
assessment.
Assessment. What sort of assessment again? What sort of lifts?
I remember we did bench and squat. I don't remember what my numbers were at the time. I don't remember whether that was for a grade or just for progress check.
Okay.
But I remember we did test it.
So you remember just bench and squat?
Yeah, I don't remember deadlift.
Really?
I don't think we did deadlift.
Okay,
Yeah,
but in the
just
class
squat.
itself, you can't be doing just squats and bench, right? Did you do anything else?
Like accessories, lunges,
Ah,
tricep extension. I don't think there was really weight machines, just free weights and rack.
right. And assume the coach or the teacher would program your entire semester, or is it just random? You just show up, as long as you show up, and at the end of the semester you take the assessment, and that's it, or how does it work?
I think we had a program, but pretty basic. And the class was maybe once or twice a week.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So, and so when did you actually start get into weightlifting specific and also powerlifting?
That was after I started working in fitness. That was kind of my way of kind of advancing myself in my career, doing like professional development, wanting to learn a bit more about like the basic lifts. And I actually wanted to compete pretty early on just because I'm a competitive person and I played a lot of different sports. But there actually wasn't that many opportunities to compete in Hong Kong at the time. There was maybe like one competition per year, and if that fills up, it's just too bad.
What competition is that?
It was IPF.
Okay, powerlifting.
Yeah, but there was only one, maybe two per year, but they also focused mainly on equipped lifting, which I wasn't into. So I wanted to compete like pretty much as soon as I found out what powerlifting was. I think someone in the gym was just like, hey, you squat pretty decently, you should do powerlifting. And I was like, okay, what's the standard for that? And then I looked at some numbers and I was like, okay, I think I can do that. I think I can beat that. And then I wanted to compete. But it was actually a while before I actually entered a competition.
When was this? 5, 6, 7 years ago? 6.
2013 or 14 is when I kind of found out what powerlifting is. And then I competed in 2016, I think.
Okay, that's like 3 years. 3 years of training, I assume.
Yeah. At the time, I was still running competitively and playing lacrosse. So
In
those
Hong
were
Kong?
Yeah. So those were two of my main focuses. So the weight training was still kind of. I was really into it, but I wasn't competing in any strength sport.
Just because they didn't have enough events or competitions around, right?
Yeah.
So IPF in Hong Kong has been around for how long?
I'm not sure exactly how long, but it's been there for a while.
Wow. And how big is the powerlifting scene in Hong Kong?
It's definitely growing. So there's IPF, which has been there for much longer, and then me and a few others started a World Powerlifting Federation. So we call ourselves the Hong Kong Powerlifting Federation. We started in summer of 2018. So it's been about a year and a half.
Wow, you started WP almost two and a half years ago.
1.5 years ago.
Yeah. When was WP created? I thought it was just last year. Wasn't it?
So the Hong Kong branch started almost at the same time as the overarching federation.
I see. And how has the reception been? Because you are also a drug tested federation, right?
Yes, we're also drug tested. The reception has been really good in Hong Kong. I think a lot of people were in the same boat as me, as wanting to compete but not having many opportunities to. So we set out with the goal to make more competitions. We've had 3 local meets per year so far. So we started in the summertime. We sent a team overseas to compete in Shanghai. And then we hosted our own meet in December. And then we had 3 local meets in 2019, and we also hosted the Asia Pacific Championships in December, a few months ago.
Asia Championship. How many people were there?
Over 100. I think around 120.
That's very
competitors,
good.
Yeah.
For your local meets, usually how many turnouts do you get?
Around 35 to 40.
Okay, that's okay for Hong Kong's size,
Hong Kong's
right?
small population, yes. And we're definitely looking to grow those numbers this year.
And were you successful in poaching some of the IPF lifters?
I mean, our intention is not to poach, but just give the opportunity to people. So we're not exclusive. We don't mind if other people compete in other federations. It's more that the other federations mind if they compete in our federation.
Yeah, I saw the post by WP.
Yeah, so it's an open statement that we welcome lifters from any federation, and we don't do suspension or banning for people competing in other feds.
Right. And how? Okay, usually people just stick to one, like powerlifting, right? You're doing both.
Yeah. So I do Olympic weightlifting and powerlifting.
And when did that come about?
It came about when I didn't have opportunities to compete in powerlifting, and then at the same time I met some people who were doing Olympic weightlifting. So I thought, like, oh, that looks cool. What is that? And I started learning Olympic weightlifting. There's also not many weightlifting competitions in Hong Kong. But yeah, I just wanted to learn. Like, I was working in fitness, so it made sense, and I was always like pretty athletic, so I wanted to pick it up.
So who did you learn from? Like, and where did you learn weightlifting? Because again, I'm assuming I've never been to Hong Kong before. My idea of Hong Kong is that a lot of high-rise, compact buildings, right, small spaces, and I'm assuming it's not easy to have a weightlifting gym anywhere because you're probably going to annoy your neighbors.
Yeah, that's very accurate.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's quite hard to have weightlifting because of the noise issues and neighbors complaining, and also a lot of people just aren't familiar with what it is. I'd say that's definitely changing. When I first started weightlifting, it was around 2014, was when I found out what it was and started kind of learning from friends. So it's definitely grown a lot more now. I'm seeing a lot more people lift and a lot more gyms trying to include weightlifting into their gym.
Okay. So when you started out, was it like any did you train in a commercial gym or a specific weightlifting training center?
I started off in a commercial gym.
Okay.
Yeah, so pretty typical commercial fitness job, doing personal training for like morning to night, just gathering a lot of clients. Most of them were just office workers, just looking to get more fit and healthy. Now I'm a strength and conditioning coach, working with a lot more athletes, and I coach a lot more powerlifters and weightlifters. So now I'm more into competitive coaching. I still do general fitness, just because that's where the demand is. And
you put it so mildly. That's where the money is.
That's where the money is, and that's where the population, like most of the population, that's what they need. Not everybody needs to compete as much as I love it.
Right.
For most people, it's just they just need to get healthy. They just need to move around more. So I still teach general fitness as well.
And you teach this at your gym?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. We've reached the breaking point of the camera, so we'll stop here for a while, and we'll be right back right after this. Okay. Welcome back. Well, I actually haven't introduced you. This is the second time it's happened. So let's welcome KK back. What's your full name though?
So KK is a nickname from my Cantonese name, Hoi K.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, we left off where you. Where did we leave off? I was asking about the place that you were training, right? So, and you not recently. When did you actually set up your own first gym?
So I started off in a commercial gym. I worked there for 2.5 years, and then I worked for more independent, 2 more independent gyms, and I went freelance as well for a while. And then I started my own gym in 2017. We opened.
And why did you feel that you wanted to set up the gym?
Mainly wanting to offer things that we couldn't find in typical gyms. So me and my partners, we train things like gymnastics, Olympic weightlifting, powerlifting, where it becomes a little bit hard to train those things because most gyms don't offer it. So we thought, like, this is silly. Like, I was training a bit of gymnastics at the time, and I was having to travel 1 hour to go to the gymnastics gym. And I don't like commuting, so I wanted to do a gym where I could provide what I wanted to train and get more people into the sport. Like, of course, I can't grow weightlifting in Hong Kong if there aren't options for people to learn weightlifting.
Okay, and I wanted to ask that I'm assuming, again, I assume that Hong Kong has a very high standard of living, right?
Generally, yeah.
And when you were working as a PT, were you able to make ends meet? Yeah, I'm sure you could, but how big is the salary for a personal trainer in Hong Kong?
I'd say in Hong Kong, personal training is a pretty decent job. Probably more profitable than in most of the States. Like, I'd say even in the States, if you look at personal training jobs, it's quite different if you live in a big city versus if you live in the suburbs. And because Hong Kong is a city, it's more on the big city type of job versus like US in the suburbs. You probably can't charge as much. You probably won't have as many clients. Your schedule won't be as full. But Hong Kong is very dense also. So for me, I'm able to line up my client schedule like back to back, no problem. I actually have to like limit my client schedule so I don't get too tired, and also so I have time to run the gym. But yeah, it's a lot easier to find clients just because there's a high concentration of people.
I see. So that's because of the density of the population that you don't have to. You can concentrate in and around the gym, and you probably set.
Yeah.
Right. So unlike like where we are right now, we have to cast a really wide net in order to get people in, right? And like you said, I don't think anyone likes commuting, especially when it takes an hour, and we have really bad traffic jams here in KL or Shah, and that's why you don't see a lot of people coming to our doors. And so where is your gym located? Is it like in a central district in Hong Kong? Is it like this place, or is it more like in KL type of place?
For most of my PT career, I was in Central, so like really in the city center. The gym that I opened is a little bit outside of the city center, but not far. It's 3 MTR stations away from Central. So it's so easily accessible to get there, but we did want to go out of the city a little bit, mainly because of the space that we wanted. It would have been like a lot more expensive in the city center. So it was a lot more feasible for us to have a bigger gym. So my gym is 3,500 square feet, which is quite big for Hong Kong especially. So it's a decent size. A lot of gyms in Central are like very tiny because of the high rent prices. So we didn't want to do that. So we were okay to compromise and go a little bit further out, but it's still 3 MTR stations, which is about 20 minutes from Central. Oh,
that's not too long, right? And what about your how many members do you have right now?
So we're a group class basis. So most of our members do group classes. We have personal training clients as well, and then we have a limited open gym membership.
Okay. Are you able to share some figures with us, or is that like confidential?
Let me think. I don't have them off the top of my head.
You didn't do. You're not the accountant.
I'm not the accountant.
And so I reckon that you are able to survive? I mean, since 2017, right? What was the biggest challenge that you faced opening up a gym in Hong Kong?
Maybe competition and rent prices. So rent in Hong Kong is very expensive. Real estate is very expensive. So that's the number one concern for most business owners, making sure that they can meet the rent and profit also. And then besides that, there's so many gyms in Hong Kong, and it's very high density. So like if you take one gym in Central, one street in Central, that one street probably has like 10 gyms on it. Maybe even more. And like even one building can have like 6 gyms in that one building. So there'll be like one on the 10th floor, and then like one on the 13th floor, one on the 15th floor.
Are there like where's the maturity in terms of fitness for people of Hong Kong? Like are they how do you say it?
Fitness maturity?
Yeah, fitness maturity. Are all of them aware of the need to be fit, to exercise? Like
I would say it's still very young.
Really?
But better than when I first started. So I first started in 2013 or 2012. And fitness was like, I'd say very, very fresh and new. Now it's still, I think coming from the States also, I'm a little bit biased because it's quite big in the States. So it's definitely new. There's definitely still people who will kind of think the common things like if you lift weights, you're going to get bulky. If you squat, you're going to hurt your knees. So there's still definitely a lot of that kind of thing around, but slowly changing.
But in general, people are going to the gym.
I'd say generally more people are recognizing that they should exercise, but it's not necessarily gym. Like a lot of people will go to yoga, and that will be their exercise.
Right. But having like 6 gyms in a building, or for example, that just indicates that either the market is so big that everybody's getting a piece of the pie and sufficient to survive the high rent and all that, or people are just more aware. And so you have a,
it's Hong Kong is kind of funny in that it's very concentrated in some areas. Like Central is where you would have like one building that has 6 gyms, but then you go to another area, kind of like a more residential area, and then most people in that area won't go to the gym.
Won't go to the gym.
Yeah.
But there are gyms. It's just that they
not as many. Like definitely not 6
Right.
in one building. It'll be like 1 in one district.
But okay, now, the other thing is that in comparison, right, in Malaysia and Hong Kong, the only gyms that have Eleco, here you can probably count with 1-2 fingers.
Oh, really? I'm surprised because you're here, so I thought that would be a lot more.
One of them is us, and the other one is another gym. In Hong Kong, that's not so, right? I know.
There's definitely more. It's still considered kind of premium. One of the big commercial gyms has it, and so that kind of changes the numbers of how many gyms, because that one gym has like 8 branches or something.
You're talking about pure fitness, right?
For independent gyms, maybe 5 or 6 that I can think of.
That's a lot. Again, comparatively, because Hong Kong is such a small country, right? And compared to Malaysia, you have a higher density of gyms with Eleco than we do here.
Yeah, if you look at it that way. I think that just comes back to like the population density, where those gyms, they know that if they get the Eleco, then they can bring in more clients, and the traffic will come.
Is that the perception in Hong Kong?
To an extent. I don't think you necessarily have to have a Eleco, but like my gym, we have my gym has a Eleco.
I'll censor that out.
My gym has a Eleco. I think because a lot of gyms also, they don't do more specialized training like powerlifting and weightlifting. So Eleco means a lot more to someone who does weightlifting or powerlifting than it means to someone who just wants to lose some belly fat for the summer.
Right. But okay, so how do you grow the weightlifting and powerlifting community in Hong Kong?
A lot of it is social media, to be honest. That's how a lot of the fitness industry goes around and grows. I think not only in Hong Kong, but like a lot of trainers use Instagram to promote themselves and kind of show what services they offer. And that's actually our main communication for Hong Kong Powerlifting Federation. We have a website as well. We have Facebook as well, but we actually get most of our inquiries through Instagram.
How many members do you have now under WP Hong Kong?
Members, 120 about.
Oh, that's pretty decent.
Yeah.
And
now I feel bad that I know how many members the federation has, not my gym.
And are all of them active? Like for the past year, when you've hosted your local events, do you see most of them participating in the competition, or?
So we do yearly membership, and people have to be members to participate in the comps.
Just like IPF, right?
Yeah, so that's how I'm able to kind of keep track easier. So yeah, most of our members will do 1 or 2 meets per year. But again, we're just starting out, so as we have more meets to offer, then that number might go up more, and we're also working on more like seminars and workshops.
At your gym?
At my gym and at other gyms as well.
And where do you usually host the events? Is it at your gym as well, or?
We rent out different gyms. The past Asia Pacific Championships, we rented out a hotel.
This must be pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. The size of the event, the amount of people that came in, and because it was international, like Australia was there, New Zealand, Nauru, Nui,
Nauru,
China.
yeah. I learned about that island doing Eleco, my work with Eleco. When I get requests from Nauru, I said, where the hell is Nauru?
Yeah, and I found out about them through powerlifting as well,
Yeah.
by seeing their team compete.
And it's quite interesting to see that an island so remote in the Pacific Ocean doing powerlifting, right?
Yeah, and I've never been there, but I heard that they're really into it, and they have some really strong athletes.
Are they considered Samoans?
I'm not
Have
sure.
you met a Nauru? I don't know what do you call it, Nauruan?
Yeah,
Are they
the
like,
team that came.
So are they like do they look like Samoans?
Yeah, like dark skin, dark hair.
Like who won the Asian Championship?
Overall or weight class?
In general.
In general,
Is it Aussies?
The Hong Kong men's team got gold as a team. On the women's side, it was Australia.
Okay. And how many countries came for the championship?
6.
6. How big is WP right now? I actually don't know.
It's definitely bigger in Asia Pacific. I'd say, like, because it started off with Robert Wilkes and Powerlifting Australia. China definitely adds to those numbers, and New Zealand, Hong Kong as well, but Hong Kong's just a smaller place. And they're talking to a lot of other countries as well. Like, they had 2 events in North America. One meet in the States, one meet in Canada. I've heard that they're talking to Malaysia as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
When I talked to the organizer of the meet this Saturday, they mentioned that they knew about World Powerlifting because they had been talking about that.
Yeah, I think probably because that IPF is already taken, the GPA is already taken, right? I think the other reputable federations would probably be World Powerlifting, right? Yeah, it makes the most logical sense in my mind.
Yeah, I think especially in the Asia Pacific region for now, and then they'll probably, I know they're working on expanding to like Europe and North America.
And what about weightlifting? Are you also organizing any competition with weightlifting or?
I haven't organized so far. I think this year, definitely aiming to. So far, I've brought my athletes to other gyms meets.
That's why we met in Singapore, right? Last year, yeah. So and you are allowed to host a weightlifting meet because you're not part of Hong Kong IWF, right?
I'm not part of the IWF in Hong Kong. I could host meets, they just wouldn't be sanctioned.
Sorry, say it again.
I could host meets, they just wouldn't be sanctioned by IWF.
Okay. Right, but do you have athletes representing the country that trains with you?
It's kind of funny because there is Hong Kong Association that is IWF affiliated, but they don't have any weightlifters.
Huh? What's the point of having?
Well, that's what I want to know too. The weightlifting and powerlifting is combined. The government sponsored one. So IPF and IWF are lumped into one association that is government funded in Hong Kong.
But the powerlifting part is IPF.
The powerlifting part is IPF.
Do you get funding for your world powerlifting?
We don't get any government funding.
Can you? Would you love to?
I would love to, yes. I think that would take some time because there already is a powerlifting association that does get funding. So I don't think the government would fund two. In their eyes, they probably don't know the difference. They probably don't really know what's going on. So maybe one day we can show them, like, look, we've hosted this many meets, we've hosted this many seminars, we have this many members.
Can we take over?
Basically, but for now we're only a year and a half old. So maybe something in the future.
So where actually do you get your funding then?
Self-funded. We did have a sponsor.
Cash sponsor? Yeah,
we had a cash sponsor that definitely helped a lot. And he's actually from Malaysia, so shout out to him.
An individual?
An individual, yeah.
Wow.
He's Malaysian.
Can you introduce him to us, or him or her?
I'll see.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just pulling your leg.
But just from the competition fees and membership fees.
But that's not enough, right? Unless you get the hotel for free, which I don't think you did, right?
I made a deal with the hotel.
Wow.
Yeah. So through connection, that's the other thing. Connections. I had a good connection that hooked me up with this hotel.
Right.
And we were able to get a good deal with the hotel. And by volunteers, so I don't get any profit from doing this. It's not my job. It's just like a side project. So we don't have any salaries. We haven't been taking any salary. It's just competition fees and meet fees that have been getting us by.
But is that a goal for World Powerlifting in Hong Kong to actually eventually make some money?
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah. Even though we're still doing it as like a community thing to grow the powerlifting community in Hong Kong, I think we do need to be a bit business minded and aim for profit, because that's how it survives. That's how it and not only survives but grows. If we're always just breaking even, then there's not really any room to grow.
Yeah, and I also think that after a while, I'm not too sure how far your passion can take you if it's always breaking even or making a loss.
Yeah.
Right? Eventually, it's not that you want to do it for money, but the money you want to use it to better the future meets, to give more maybe cash prizes or things like that, right?
People.
Right? Better venues and things like that. But I am amazed, or I am what's the word? I have full respect for MPA here because they've been organizing powerlifting meets since 2015, if I'm not mistaken. And honestly, it's pretty hard to see that they're making any money, right? Maybe they are, but I'm assuming it's probably not so. But so mad respect for them for being able to organize so many, like at least 3 in a year, right? And this year they have 4. Right? That's pretty amazing, right?
Yeah, so it definitely does take passion, and because it is like a side thing, like I do have my full-time job that I need to support myself, and then I kind of have to manage my time and my effort and my energy accordingly.
Yeah, how do you do that? That's the question. That's the question I want to ask you, because you, in terms of your training, right?
Yeah.
You have weightlifting, you have powerlifting, you do gymnastics, and I don't know whether you're still running, and you're also doing some coaching, right? Where do you find the time?
I don't know. Yeah, so my training, I'm now doing a hybrid program. In the past, I would do kind of seasons. I would do a powerlifting meet and aim and just do powerlifting, and then I would switch and do a weightlifting meet and just do weightlifting. I did that for about 2 years, but then I found like every time I would switch, it would feel really rough. Like my weightlifting would feel so rusty, my technique would like kind of go backwards, and then every time I switched back to powerlifting, everything would feel so heavy. So now I'm doing hybrid training both in every session that I do, which also, every session I do has both weightlifting and powerlifting now.
Wait, is this your own invention, this hybrid training, or
there's a few other coaches and other athletes around the world that do this. It's definitely not common because it does take a lot of energy and recovery and discipline and just learning the different techniques itself. Like I did both separately for a while to kind of build my foundation better. And I think a lot of people see me doing this and then they think like, oh, that's cool, I want to do it too. And they don't realize how long it took me, how long I spent on learning the technique separately before I put them together.
Right.
And then also how much I've had to play around with what works. Because it's very easy to go over kind of a threshold of what your body can handle when you're thinking of 5 big lifts. So it's definitely a struggle of juggling all like the big 5 and not getting injured, making sure that you're progressing in all 5 lifts. And also having the discipline to prioritize. Like when I was 4 weeks out from my last powerlifting meet, I dropped weightlifting completely. And that, like, it made me sad. Like I don't want to drop weightlifting, but I wasn't quite where I wanted to be for the powerlifting meet. So I kind of had to decide like, hey, now I have to really drop the weightlifting, focus on the powerlifting, and then go back to the weightlifting later. So
the hybrid training, can I say that it's not so suitable for somebody who really wants to compete?
Yeah, I'd say like if I was really going for like the elite, like top of the world, then yeah, I would need to focus more. I'd say because I'm competitive for sure. Like I do want to win. I do want to compete. But I'm not like breaking world records yet. So if I was getting to that level, then I would focus. I would focus more, and I focus more closer to the competition.
And do you offer this as a training for your clients, or is it specific to those people who are like like you?
I do, but limited. It just takes a lot, so I have 2 main people who have been doing this for a little while. One is my fiance, and one of my athletes that has trained with me for a few years already. And then I have 2 more who are interested in doing it. 2 of my powerlifters now want to learn weightlifting. And so I'm kind of, first of all, I try to make sure that they really understand what they're getting themselves into. Like just because you see me do it doesn't mean it's that easy. Yeah, or
even if it's suitable for them, right?
Yeah, and having them understand that powerlifting and weightlifting are very different. Just because it's both barbell and both like 3 attempts in the competition doesn't mean anything when you think about the technique and even the programming.
Even the bars are different.
Yeah, that too. So I mean, I think they do understand that, but it's they've both been pretty successful in powerlifting, so it's also discipline and setting expectations to know that the weightlifting will probably take some time. And just because they're at this level for powerlifting doesn't mean that they'll be at that level for weightlifting. Yeah, it's definitely hard. And for me as a coach, like to coach that many things is also another thing to juggle.
Which do you think is harder, powerlifting or weightlifting?
As a coach?
As a lifter, as a weightlifter, powerlifter.
The technique for weightlifting for sure. It's definitely harder. The recovery for powerlifting harder.
Hey, when you combine both of them.
Yeah, that's what makes it really tricky. Like you want to have a lot of weightlifting in the program to get the technique in and get all the reps in, but you also need to save some energy so you don't get hurt when you have like a heavy squat on your back for powerlifting or doing a heavy deadlift.
So you would always start with weightlifting first in the particular training session, and then finish off with powerlifting.
Yeah, I always start with weightlifting first. There's not that many coaches that do this, so I don't have as many coaches to reference. I think that's generally what the other coaches also do. And just playing around with it myself, I definitely like it more in that order.
What is the typical duration of a training session for a hybrid?
It's long. That's the other thing that people need to understand, that it's very time consuming. My heavier sessions take me 2.5 hours to 3 hours.
That's nothing. You should see these guys. They're here like 4 hours.
But how much of that time are they resting?
All the time.
Exactly. I'm talking 2.5 to 3 hours with not that long rest.
Really?
Yeah.
But don't you need rest in order for you to complete another set of powerlifting, because you need to get back to the energy cycle from your body? I can't know how to explain it.
Yes, but I think as a weightlifter, it helps to have the weightlifting background, because in general, weightlifters will take less rest time.
Yes.
Part of it is the nature of how competitions are, where you can follow yourself in weightlifting or have a quite short rest in weightlifting. And then also my other athletic background, like I used to do running and lacrosse. I've run 4 marathons, so I'm a little bit better at having less rest than a typical lifter, I'd say.
Yeah, because you have more cardiovascular.
Yeah, like even though it's been a long time since I've run a marathon or run any race, but I think just what my body has done before and what I'm used to,
right?
I'm able to handle that a little bit better. And then also being very light, I'm in the lightest weight class for both weightlifting and powerlifting. I'd say that definitely plays a big role. I wouldn't expect like a super heavy weight to rest as little as what
that's interesting
as what I rest. Yeah, so that actually is, I would say that's an advantage for me, wanting to be a hybrid super total lifter and being a lighter weight class.
Is that something, the super total, is that something that you think you'll organize one day? Do you think there's going to be interest?
Yeah, there's actually been a super total meet in Hong Kong already before. And unfortunately, I was injured at the time that it happened, so I didn't compete in it. But people signed up for that, so there's some interest.
All right, cool. We're about to reach our end of the podcast. Just one last question, if I can. When's the wedding?
It was supposed to be in April because. Oh, man. Because of all the virus stuff that's going on, we're thinking about postponing it.
Okay.
So, should be this year. Maybe April, maybe in the fall.
Right. All the best to you. Congratulations for being engaged. Do you have anything else you want to say? Where can people find you on Instagram? Oh,
my Instagram is @strength2size. Yeah, feel free to follow me. Send me a message if you want. And thank you to everyone who has welcomed me to KL. I really like it here, actually, even more than I thought I would. But yeah, because it's been so long since I've been here. Yeah. Like it was 15 years ago. So yeah, it's changed so much, and I actually really like it here. So come back again sooner. Yeah, I hope so. Right. On behalf of Barbell Junction, thank you so much for coming here and sharing your experiences. And we hope to see you here again soon.
So with that, we'll end this podcast. Thank you so much again, and we'll see you again in the next episode. Ciao.